You've heard about the opioid crisis. It's real. It's closer than you think. Every day, over 128 Americans die of opioid overdose.
It's touching Hoosiers all over Indiana. The opioid crisis may be affecting someone around you, a family member, a friend, a neighbor, or even a coworker.
What can we do to help? Where do we start?
It begins by knowing the facts about opioid use disorder. It will change how we think and what we say.
Through knowledge, we'll better understand how we can help reduce the stigma surrounding opioid misuse. It's time to understand. News of the opioid crisis is everywhere. Increasing our understanding of opioid use disorder can help us do our part to end this crisis. But first, let's walk through the basics.
First, opioid use disorder is a disease. Although people react differently when using opioids, dependency or addiction can happen almost immediately. The threshold to dependency is like an invisible line, and the line is different for everyone. As the use of opioids increases, dramatic changes happen in regards to brain function. Also, increased desire for opioids can move a person to start planning on how to get their hands on more and more opioids. It becomes an obsession and leads to misuse. When this threshold is crossed, it becomes a chronic brain disease known as opioid use disorder.
Second, there is treatment for opioid use disorder. As you know, treatment doesn't happen on its own. When someone becomes dependent on opioids, opioids have a hold on them. Treatment is key in helping someone overcome opioid use disorder. It could help improve their health and life. However, treatment isn't easy. Relapse can happen and is often part of the recovery process. It may take many tries to stop using opioids. A person with opioid use disorder needs support and should not give up hope.
Which brings us to our third fact about opioid use disorder. Recovery is possible. For those who seek and commit to treatment, there is hope for recovery. When individuals with opioid use disorder seek and begin treatment, they're encouraged to see their full potential. They receive knowledge and understanding that they can recover and manage their disorder successfully, leading them to a healthy life. So, let's define the meaning of recovery. Recovery is an ongoing process or journey of change, learning, healing, and growth. It is about realizing one's full potential and not being defined by any illness. The hopeful message is that recovery is possible. Treatment, whether outpatient, inpatient, or medication-assisted treatment, or MAT, offers a clear process in which someone with opioid use disorder can improve their health and wellness, live an independent and self-directed life, and strive to reach their full potential. Let's listen to a few individuals who chose treatment and are currently living in recovery.
I am a person in long-term recovery. I've been in recovery for 9 years, and that is a recovery process that will last my entire lifetime. Recovery has given me back everything that I lost, plus some. Recovery has given me back my children, has given me back my freedom, has given me back my freedom of choice, of being the person that I want to be, of being a friend, of being a sister, of being a daughter. You know, like I said, my family, I come from a family, a generation of addicts and alcoholics and dysfunction. So I'm the rock. Everybody comes to me for everything that they need. And so I'm the beacon of hope for my sister, who's an IV drug user right now, for her to say, you know, Amy, I'm ready to get help. I see that you're doing so well. That's important to me, because that was one of my prayers when I got sober, is that I could be a beacon of light to other people.
Recovery has made me a person that people couldn't trust and couldn't be around and didn't want to be around, into the complete opposite. I have a 5-year-old daughter. I put a lot of time and energy into her and to bettering her life. My goals are essentially her goals. Everything I do, you know, I'm 31 years old. I've wasted a lot of my time with my addiction and being, I've lost a lot of years. So to me, it's for myself, but I also want to set her up for successes in life. So I put a lot of time and energy in that.
I see myself differently now, where I'm going in my life. I used to think I was only going to die by opioids, and today I see myself getting my bachelor's degree in May and then going on to get my master's degree. I'm writing a book right now, and I don't have big dreams for it, but it's fun writing it and putting in the work for it, and it's something I can leave behind for my kids. I see myself someday having grandkids, which I never wanted in my life, and I see myself going to my kids' graduations sober and just doing, I don't even know, like the way I imagined my life a couple years ago, it's become so much more today that I couldn't even imagine what it's like today. So it's sometimes hard to imagine what it'll be like in 2 to 5 years because I keep growing and changing.
Recovery is a great thing. It's a blessing. It's just through the grace of God. I have 6 years sober. Since I've been in recovery, I rebuilt a lot of relationships with my family. I didn't mention who else supported me big, and I can't believe I forgot to mention that my daughter, she's 22 now. She always supported me. Recovery is great. It's great. In the 6 years in my recovery, in the 6 years period of time, I went back to school. I obtained a bachelor's degree, a master's degree. I met another beautiful woman. I have remarried. I work in the field of addiction now. I got another career. I got another career. I work for the State of Indiana Division of Mental Health and Addiction, which is a blessing. Recovery has given me another opportunity at life. And my life is just so much fulfilling, so much fulfilling.
Recovery has changed my life in ways that I never would have dreamt. I just wanted to stop using. That's all I asked for. I just didn't want to get high anymore. But it's changed. I am now working full time. I'd been on disability for 15 years. I pay taxes. I hadn't been to school since I was 18. I just graduated, May of 2017 with a bachelor's degree in a faith-based school. I just bought my own home. Me. I didn't ask for all that. But once you take the substance away and you discover who you really are and what you are capable of, the sky's the limit.
There are 4 key dimensions that have a role in the recovery process that can lead to success. The first dimension is health. This involves overcoming and/or learning to manage the disease by making healthy choices that support physical and emotional well-being. The second dimension is home. Having a stable and safe place to live is critical to recovery. The third dimension is purpose. Having purpose in one's life, positive and meaningful daily activities, such as a job, school, volunteering, taking care of family, or creative activities, can fill a life with purpose. These activities can also offer independence, income, and resources to help get back to living a healthy life. The last dimension is community. It's very important to have relationships and social networks that provide support, love, friendship, and hope, especially when recovery gets tough. You see, a person's recovery is holistic. In other words, it includes everyone and everything around them that supports their path to recovery. That is community. We need to be aware of and sensitive to the importance of a person needing all 4 dimensions to support a life in recovery. If one dimension is missing within the process, recovery may not happen.
When we talk about recovery, we need to understand that the process for recovery is different for everyone. There are also many pathways that lead to recovery. People will choose their recovery pathways based on cultural values, socioeconomic status, psychological and behavioral needs, and the nature of their substance use disorder.
The treatment programs that I was in, when they talked about treatment, They mostly referenced 12-step recovery groups. It was an abstinence-only focus group, and so a lot of the materials that I read and that I had access to pointed to staying clean and sober and not using any kind of other drugs and getting plugged into your local recovery communities through 12-step meetings. So I was introduced to a 12-step abstinence-only model through jail, and that's what sustained my recovery. Once I got home, I just got plugged into my local recovery community and 12-step meetings.
When I did realize that I needed help, I knew what to do. I knew who to call, I knew the places to go, because I had already been exposed to some of those treatment options as a result of the criminal justice system, employers, and some other parties that had led me in that direction prior. When I decided I needed help, I was able to reach out to somebody that had been in my life previously treatment-wise. There was a program I had to complete as terms of my probation, and so when I decided I need help, I reached out to that person in the treatment field I knew, and he was able to put me in contact with the place. He had asked me some general questions about what I was using, and he was able to get me plugged into a treatment facility that provided the services that I need, that could deal with the detoxification, to get through the withdrawal, and the other symptoms I was experiencing.
Another part of my recovery that I find really fulfilling is getting to help others. So since I've been in recovery, I've been trained as a certified addiction and peer recovery coach, and I'm certified, and I work with individuals in my free time and coach them and help them realize that there is life after addiction, that recovery is possible, and getting to see that spark of hope in their eyes, and when they finally get okay, if you could do this, I can do this. That's one of the most fulfilling feelings that you can get from being in recovery.
So let's talk about recovery paths and recovery support services. Recovery paths include medication-assisted treatment, also known as MAT, recovery mutual aid groups, such as 12-step programs. Natural recovery means overcoming dependency on your own or going cold turkey. Peer-based recovery supports bring people together who have been successful in the recovery process to help others experiencing similar situations. Family recovery is where the power of the family becomes a part of the recovery team. The family helps stabilize a loved one with opioid use disorder with support and guidance, pointing a loved one toward recovery. Technology-based recovery integrates technology with recovery. Web and mobile tools now can play a role in recovery management for those with substance use disorders. Alternative recovery supports are also available because, as we've said before, the recovery path is different for everyone. When 12-step or other recovery programs don't work, a medical professional may recommend other forms of supportive therapy that offer another pathway to recovery.
The pathway of support also includes recovery support services. These services are non-clinical. They help people and their families work together toward recovery from substance use. Let's listen to a few people who have utilized recovery support services.
Treatment presented itself to me through the jail system. I was in Marion County Jail, and they have a sector of their jail called Hope Hall, and it's for women who have lower criminal offenses. And most of the women in there do have their charges stem from their drug use and their alcohol use. So I got transferred to that area after I had been detoxed and was no longer withdrawing. And they would take us out to classes and to meetings and 12-step meetings. And that's when I really realized that there are so many other people out here that are going through the same thing as me, and I don't have to do this alone. And there is treatment, and treatment is effective.
The last treatment facility that I went through the Salvation Army, ARC, in Gary, Indiana, a faith-based treatment. And in that treatment facility, they use cognitive behavior therapy. They also use a spiritual approach. And I really grabbed hold of the spiritual aspect of recovery. That really worked for me, because in my childhood, I was raised in the church, so the spiritual component really helped me. The cognitive behavior therapy helped as well, because it taught me, I had to learn to retrain my thinking, you know. I had to learn learn to identify my emotional triggers, and it was all, and I learned that it was all about how I thought.
One thing I'm very thankful for that, because I actually ended up going to a place called High Point Rehab Center, you know, and it's like I wanted to get clean, didn't know how to get help, but there was I actually got a primary care physician, and the way it is in Massachusetts there, they look better upon like homelessness and you know, your need help, your drug addict, stuff like that. They had things set up to try to help you, so it's like I want as much of that as I can get. You know, so I was willing to go ahead. The lady there sent me to this rehab, and I went there. Now I got clean, of course, while I was there. This didn't fix life, but looking back now from here, I could see all of the things, because what they did there, they showed us like, I mean, what color your urine should be, you know, drinking water, the sleep that you should get, the food you should eat, how you should eat, the exercise, showed us about money, balancing living, you know, not just don't get high. You know, we had a lot of recreation and things like that, and it's like I look back and I see like a whole of a person in a real life, you know.
Recovery support services may be found close to you and include recovery community organizations, recovery residences, housing sites that provide safe, substance-free living environments for people in recovery, treatment agencies, opioid treatment providers, also known as OTPs, city, county, and state government entities, professional associations, emergency departments and other healthcare providers, law enforcement and criminal justice agencies, managed care organizations and other payers, employee assistance programs or EAPs, faith-based communities, philanthropic organizations, and even businesses. Recovery support services may be provided before, during, or after clinical treatment, or they may be provided to individuals who are not in treatment but seeking support services. These services, provided by professionals and peers, are delivered through a variety of community and faith-based groups, treatment providers, schools, and other specialized services. As we said earlier, there are many pathways that lead to recovery. These organizations are here to provide recovery support for those with opioid use disorder.
Now we know the facts about opioid use disorder. First, opioid use disorder is a disease. Second, there is treatment. And third, recovery is possible.
Understanding that opioid use disorder is a disease goes a long way in helping us think differently about opioid addiction and to speak with compassion. Once we understand, we can then have empathy for the person with this disease. It will change how we think and what we say. Let's remember that our words can help reduce the stigma surrounding opioid use disorder. You can help bring down the barriers for people seeking treatment.
Take action. Help us fight this disease by encouraging your friends and family to take the pledge to reduce the stigma surrounding opioid use disorder. To take the pledge, go to knowtheofacts.org. Find Take the Pledge at the top right and click on it. Then fill in your information and take the pledge. Now that you're informed, you can help those suffering from opioid use disorder by supporting their individual pathways to recovery. And encourage them to seek individual recovery support services that meet their needs.
The opioid crisis is real, but there is hope for recovery. We must work together if we are going to end this crisis in our state.
Recovery is possible.